Okay, let's talk about differentiated instruction and ways that we can do that. Two of the best ways to do that is through small group instruction and individualized instruction. Let's start with small group. So, small group instruction is a group of 2 to 6 students grouped based on similar skill abilities. Some of the, benefits of small group instruction is that it is data driven and you can teach students on their level. So it kind of eliminates you having to teach to the quote unquote middle, because, if a student is higher, you're able to give them a higher reading passage or a higher guided reading group, which is all, really good. Um, and same thing goes for those below grade level kids. You don't have to give them the same material that you would give um, an average or above average student. Um, so because of all of that, you're able to, build confidence, build, positive classroom culture, build vocabulary. Students are actively engaged, which is going to create less behavioral problems. All of that is what you really want to see, and that's going to flourish, learning for everyone, including your ELL students, um, who are given the opportunity to learn through peer modeling. There's a social aspect attributed to small groups because it's less teacher talk and more, student driven. Um, so we really got to get toward small group instruction and making that beneficial for all students. Now let's talk about individualized instruction. It literally is what it says. It is individual or personal instruction based on one student and their needs. The best way to set that up is one teacher, one student. What does that child need? Um, it's recommended that that's in a quiet environment, kind of away from distractions. You don't necessarily have to go to another room, but I wouldn't be right in the middle of, say, your drama center or your block center where blocks are banging. Um, so kind of away from all of that stuff, like small group. It is data driven. And I like to think of individualized instruction as like another form of small group instruction, but even smaller. Um, and I really like it because I feel like you build teacher and student connection. You can have a back and forth exchange through communication. There's less paper and pencil work. Um, let's talk about our reading. Let's talk about what we comprehended from what we read today, which is exactly what we want students to be able to do. I also really like it because for those higher achieving students, you can send them to a higher group and even into another class or another GT class, and they can receive guided reading groups in another class. Um, the gap between GT students and average students is steady closing, and we want to continue to have that gap, make that gap larger. We want those GT kids. We don't want them to just fall behind and become average. Although there's nothing wrong with average, we want to keep those above average kids being above average. Um, for those below average students, individualized instruction is great because it gives us the opportunity to look at other areas that we might have missed, and find those in an individualized setting, as well as it gives us the opportunity to learn cross categorical skills. As we know, higher reading impacts higher math, impacts higher social studies, impacts higher science. Um, I see this a lot in special education classrooms, and I think if we can really get to doing individualized instruction in a balanced way, then this can be a form of MTSS kind of before we get to that, um, before we start needing special education services. This is just another really good way to flourish, to help students flourish and really, really hit them hard with what they need.